Hey everybody, welcome to episode 177 of Is This Thing Working? Here we are on a Thursday. How you doing, Denise?
I am awesome. I am so glad to be here with everybody today. Every time I get on the mic, I get so excited because I get to talk to you and tell you what's going on in this crazy world. And man, did we wake up to some breaking news this morning.
Yep, couple big stories, man. I thought one of the coolest or the best story of this is the Russian prisoner swap. Evan Gersovich is finally going to get to come home, man.
Yes, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, in Fox News, they were so happy because, you know, he's with the Wall Street Journal. He's a journalist for, Wall Street Journal, and that is part of the Fox News family, as Ainsley put it this morning. So we are very thankful that he is going to be coming home. That's awesome. But the report states here in Gateway Pundit that high-stakes prisoner swap between Russia and the U.S. set to include jailed Wall Street Journal journalist Evan Gersovich.
The great Jim Hoft starts out to say, he said the United States and Russia are reportedly negotiating a high-stakes prisoner swap that could see the Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gersovich freed from a Russian prison. He was sentenced last month to 16 years in prison after being convicted of espionage. The Wall Street Journal has been vocal in its support for Gersovich, who spent more than a year behind bars since his arrest in March of 2023 while covering news in Russia.
Western Journal had previously reported that Gersovich was ordered to serve the sentence at a high-security penal colony, the Journal reported. The court's Friday verdict, after 3 days of hearings, was widely viewed as a foregone conclusion since acquittals in Russia espionage trials are exceedingly rare. This disgraceful sham conviction comes after Evan has spent 478 days in prison, wrongfully detained, away from his family and friends, prevented from reporting, all for doing his job as a journalist. Wall Street Journal editor-in-chief Emma Tucker and Wall Street Journal publisher Almar Latour said in a statement, Russian officials have produced no public evidence to support their allegations, the Journal reported. So we are very thankful that he is coming home. Well, he's not home yet, so we'll see. We'll see what happens here.
We would like to welcome our new sponsor to Is This Thing Working? So help us welcome Cornbread Hemp. Their mission is to draw on Kentucky's 250-year legacy of growing hemp, as well as the state's unique climate and soil, to manufacture the highest quality cannabis products available in America. They proudly offer full-spectrum, USDA organic CBD products with up to 2 milligrams of THC per serving. Their plants are grown in what's known as the Bluegrass Basin, which produces the highest quality hemp alongside the best bourbon and fastest racehorses. Cornbread Hemp is one of the very few, if not only, CBD brands in America who exclusively use the hemp flower to create their CBD extract, called Flower Only CBD, and they want the world to know.
Please check out Cornbread Hemp by going to cornbreadhemp.com right now for a 30% off your initial purchase of any products on the website. Again, go to cornbreadhemp.com and use promo code ITTW for this special offer. Remember, you get 30% off, promo code ITTW. And all you need to do is click that link below. And please support our sponsors. They do help us keep the show free.
Before we start the show, we want to state these are our opinions and they're our assertions. And if you agree with us, tell your friends and share our show.
And if you don't agree with us, tell your friends and share our show.
Also, stomp that like button and please follow or subscribe wherever you see the name Is This Thing Working. And our podcast is available for download on all platforms like Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast.
Also, make sure you download that Rumble app so you can follow the show and you will receive instant notifications when we go live Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Let's get on with the show. We got a big day ahead of us. Bannon Watch, of course. Man, call to action. Also, a lot of call to actions today. 93 days left of being a political prisoner. And we have a clip today of Steve Bannon on War Room before he went to prison, telling us and you, the posse, what we are after and what our call to action is. Listen closely to Bannon here.
People ask me, what can we do? Listen, pray for our enemies. I don't have time. Do not write a letter to me at all. It will not be read. I am not going to take a second to read your letters. I'm not. Because you know why? I don't want you taking time to write a letter. I want you to get to work. This is all about victory. This is victory or nothing. There's no substitute for victory here. There is no substitute for victory. You know that. I know that. Use your time, husband your resources, and use your time. And your time is not sending me some missive in prison that I'm not going to read. You know why I'm not going to read it? Because I'm going to be working outside of my job in prison. I will be working the rest of the hours on what? Total and complete victory.
And that's what we're going to do.
Yep. Work toward total and complete victory. One way or the other.
That's it.
One way or the other. And we're getting to work now. The first order of our call to action, Grace from Grace Chong. You can follow Grace on X at GC22GC to follow all calls to action. And again, we're asking you to call your representatives and senators to vote to condemn the January 6th committee as being illegitimate.
Yeah, you might want to go ahead and call them there and leave them a voicemail because, you know, they're not in session right now for some reason. I wonder why. You know, but anyway, you need to call the House. You need to dial 202-225-3121 and call the Senate 202-224-3121. This is call to action. We need their voicemail boxes full.
Yes.
Of posse members today, and every day continue to call and leave a message because they need to get on top of this, and we need our fearless leader back.
Yes, we do.
And we need them to do something about it.
And speaking of Steve and the War Room, yesterday, Chip Roy was leading the War Room, and he had his colleague, Representative Matt Gaetz, on there, and they were openly discussing the past and the present poor leadership of the GOP. Check out part of their conversation.
I was just watching The Wizard of Oz, and I think the House of Representatives has been infected with like a Wizard of Oz mentality in our leadership. First, we had like Paul Ryan, who had no heart. Then we had Kevin McCarthy, who had no brain. And now we have Mike Johnson, who has no courage. And so I guess the converse of that is what we see with some of our friends in the Freedom Caucus, where like Andy Biggs is the heart, Eli Crane is the courage, and everybody in the posse needs to know that Chip Roy is the brain. And that's kind of how we function against a system that lacks some of those core principles and values. And like, I know you were pissed about this, Chip, when we left town. And the posse might not really grasp what an abdication this is. But between now and the November election, we have 3 voting session weeks in Washington, D.C. Now, if you and I were in charge, if we had committee gavels to be able to haul folks in on the border, on the censorship industrial complex, on what we see with these spending programs that go unauthorized, that have now driven us past $35 trillion in debt, there is something to hammer every day. There is a fight to be had. The posse is ready to go. And yet we have 3 weeks between now and the election. It's almost as if the mentality right now in Washington is nobody else has to row. Trump's got this. Trump will carry us over the finish line. We don't have to have an agenda. We don't need to have a work ethic. We don't need to be passing bills. We could just count on Trump to carry us all over. And I think that is abandoning our post in a lot of ways.
And he's absolutely right.
Well,
they
sure
have abandoned their post. We have so much that needs to be taken care of. And we talked about one of them, this call to action from Grace today about us calling our congressman. We can't really talk to him because we're going to be giving voicemails. You know, that's exactly what they continue to do. They think that President Trump is going to be able to pull them across the line just by his endorsement and not the work that they need to continue to do. For example, election integrity. Why haven't we had a hearing on election integrity?
Exactly.
And we are hearing over and over and over the amount of stuff that's going on out there.
You can't get these people to even pass the 12 line item bills that they're supposed to pass every year. You can't even get them to do that. The only thing that these guys seem to be concerned with doing is passing the CR and kicking the can down the road.
And then bringing up items that just deal with certain people, you know, or, you know, culture, or, you know, hey, washing machines and
some horse shit.
Some crap that, you know, that they think they're pandering to. But I want to know, Why haven't they focused at all on election integrity? The grassroots have been doing all they can for 4 years to fix elections. Not one hearing on elections has been done, and we are now seeing the consequences of this by the Biden and Harris administration.
Exactly. And you say Biden, Harris, I want everybody to say it, man. Biden, Harris administration from here on out, because like we said the other day, Kamala Harris, you own this.
That's exactly every single one.
This is your 4 years, girl.
That's it.
You own it. And we're gonna keep reminding you of this by every time. Keep her name out there.
Yes, we will. And what was revealed yesterday is astonishing, but not surprising. Did you hear about the Bidenbucks?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I this absolutely blew me away. But you know what? I'm not surprised, because for some reason our Congress is allowing all of these EOs to go through, the one we've talked about, 14019, where all of the agencies in the federal government are registering illegals. And I'm sorry, but registering illegals is a crime.
That's, yeah.
And they're registered to vote. So don't come out to me and James and anybody else and say, oh, but it's illegal for illegals to vote. But you're registering them to vote. So how, you know, there are places that now do no ID.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and even with that, here's more scheming going on by them. That's what you referenced to the Federalist article. And the headline of that article said, Bidenbucks plans to use Native American school children in voter registration scheme. It goes on to say, you think the Biden administration isn't using taxpayer-funded federal agencies to carry out a get-out-the-vote effort for Democrats? Take a look at what President Joe Biden's constitutionally suspect executive order is doing at the U.S. Department of the Interior. Email communications and other documents obtained by the Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project through thousands of Freedom of FOIA requests show the Interior Department's Bureau of Indian Education feverishly scheming to use students in Bureau-operated Native American K-12 schools to carry voter registration cards home to their parents. This agency oversees 183 schools on more than 60 Indian reservations in 23 states, according to the Bureau of Indian Education's website. Some 46,000 students attend these schools. So think about this. They're sending home voter registration cards with school children to their parents to fill out and do what then? Bring them back to the school? Who distributes them? What you know what I mean?
Yes, and
where does it go from there?
Yeah, I mean, this is totally confusing to me how this is even a thing. But, you know, they say that they're using taxpayer money to send all these out to the schools.
Well, they're using government agencies to do this.
You know, records also exposed Biden's Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland, who made history when she became the first Native American to serve as a cabinet secretary, arguably stepping over the Hatch Act line that bars executive branch officials from engaging in overtly political activities on the job.
Mike Howell, who is the executive director of Heritage Oversight Project, told the Federalist this. He said, what's happening now is absolute corruption. A very red line was crossed by this administration. We've taken for granted in the United States of America that the president isn't allowed to use the executive branch to ensure his own reelection. The voters should get to decide who the president is.
It's very predatory in nature, they go on to say. And this is exactly what I was talking about. As the Federalist has reported, Biden signed an executive order 14019 within the first month of his presidency. And then no one has done anything about this. We keep hollering about this same executive order, reminding you over and over. And now the Federalist is reminding us. The innocuous sounding, promoting access to voting executive order commands federal agencies to work with state government officials and leftist groups to register and mobilize traditionally left-leaning voters.
Yep. Mike Howell from the Heritage Foundation, he asserts that the Get Out the Vote effort is predatory in nature because it targets Democrat voters for mobilization, not all voters, just like it said in the paragraph before, that they work with the state government offices and the leftist groups, NGOs,
yes, to
register and mobilize traditionally left-leaning voters.
Yes. So this is not a bipartisan get out the vote effort. It is left-leaning get out the vote effort. And on yesterday's War Room, Catherine Engelbrecht was talking to Congressman Chip Roy. She is founder of True the Vote. She addresses the wave of criticism aimed at her organization, particularly from major outlets like CNN. True the Vote is being accused of voter suppression tactics, but Engelbrecht insists that the group's mission is to protect election integrity by ensuring every eligible citizen's vote. Now, tell you a little bit about history of True the Vote. During 2020, they really are the ones that caught a lot of this election fraud that was going on.
Right.
And they found Chinese people in California that had the voting data and was being sent over to China. And her and her husband ended up in jail in Texas.
That was Greg.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to take that back. I'm not for sure if they're married. I think they're partners at True the Vote. They're partners at True the Vote. So they both got put in jail. And they were in there for a little while before a Texas judge finally said, hey, you can't put her in jail for this, and let her out.
Right.
You know, so the grassroots really stepped up. But as she's discussed with Roy, after viewing a CNN hit piece in the show's Cold Open footage, Engelbrecht is under fire for True the Vote's initiatives, which aim to empower citizens to evaluate local voter rolls and identify potentially ineligible voter registrations. Critics have characterized these initiatives as attempts to suppress voters, a claim she firmly denies.
Yeah, she said this is just the attack du jour, referring to CNN's latest report. She described how CNN is conducting open records requests to obtain the names of volunteers involved in the True the Vote effort, which is allegedly leading to harassment. CNN has taken it upon itself to file open records requests for everywhere they think citizens will be involved. They're filing these open records requests with the counties, getting the names of the people involved, and then harassing them, showing up on their doorstep. She goes, it's outrageous. The discussion highlighted True the Vote's focus on projects like the IV3 initiative, which claims to clean up the voter rolls by identifying potentially fraudulent and ineligible registrations. She also claims that the project has successfully flagged over 825,000 potentially ineligible records. These are often people who have been moved, registered in multiple states, or are registered at commercial addresses rather than residential ones. Our voter rolls are a mess, Engelbrecht insisted, emphasizing the need for accurate and reliable voter data. I want to tell y'all something. I worked as a mail carrier for the United States Postal Service for 8 years, so I've been through a couple of election cycles, and I've seen go on what she's talking about. I've seen it with my own eyes, man. I mean,
yes, they send out these little cards.
Yes,
that,
they did.
You know, say one thing, but if you read in the small print, you know, it would say, for example, contact this number to help you register to vote.
In one election cycle, and I think it was 2018. I think it was in 2018. At that point, I was delivering index card size letters to about 80% of my route during that time. And about once a week, we would get these index size cards, mailing cards, by the NAACP. And basically on it was asking people, are you registered to vote? And if you are not registered to vote, if you need assistance, come by our office and we will help you.
Yeah.
Man, to me, and I would look at those and I was like, man, come on. You know what I mean? Unlock your business potential with Shopify. Ready to turn your ideas into reality? With Shopify, you can create, customize, and run an online store with ease. Trusted over by 1 million businesses worldwide, Shopify provides everything you need to succeed in e-commerce. Why choose Shopify? User-friendly interface, no coding skills are required. Our intuitive platform makes setting up your store a breeze. They've got powerful tools from marketing and payments to secure checkout and shipping. Shopify has all the tools to streamline your operations, 24/7 support, mobile ready. Manage your business on the go with our mobile app. So join the e-commerce revolution today. Start your free trial at Shopify.com and see how easy it is to sell online. Shopify, your path to e-commerce success.
Please click that link below We were talking about harassment of the grassroots. Now we're going to talk about harassment of President Trump yesterday.
Man.
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh. And everyone saw it. And the mainstream media wants to come out and say that he was the bad guy. I'm sorry. But yesterday, President Trump was harassed.
Yeah, President Trump was at a forum yesterday at the NABJ conference, which is the National Association of Black Journalists, and he appeared on stage with 3 reporters, Harris Faulkner from Fox, ABC's Rachel Scott, and I don't remember the other one offhand, but he didn't get tore up in this. They tried to, and he handled himself well on stage.
Well, sure. He walked right into the lion's den.
Yes, he did.
And knew it from the beginning and felt that way from the beginning.
And called them out on it from the very beginning.
Out on it.
Here's a good little section of this. Check this out.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
Give me
a definition.
He said, yeah, go ahead.
Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question, a very direct question.
Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a Black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
She has always identified as a Black woman. She went to a historically Black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a Black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that, too, when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
That's so awesome. But he's not telling a lie. He's telling the truth. Because if you think about it, when Joe Biden ran for president, there's video out there of Joe Biden saying, I'm going to bring the first Black woman vice president with me. Did he not say? He did say that. He called
did it.
He's the one that said that.
And speaking of her race,
yeah,
I mean, we have a clip here that shows Kamala Harris on a cooking show from 2019 when she was running for president at that time. Listen to her talk about her nationality at the time.
Okay, so what we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because you are Indian.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but I find that wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like the thing we're so excited about to have you running for president.
Yeah.
So we're both Indian, but actually we're both South Indian.
Yes. You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
I've been telling people we're related already, so this is perfect. It's basically true. And so were you raised eating South Indian food?
South Indian food.
So there you have it, folks. She actually says that she's Indian.
Yep.
She doesn't say anything about being Black. Well, I guess at that time she was pandering to Indians and wanted Indians to vote for her. So when this doesn't work for her being Black, was she going to pretend to be white?
Which she and that's what she's done. She's come out this time around and she's completely different. And that's what President Trump was pointing out, Yes. Is she Black? Is she Indian? What is she? Who knows? We don't know. And you could tell how sarcastic and facetious he was being with her, because it's hilarious to view this, because
yes, everyone knows it, and he speaks the truth. But he also spoke the truth yesterday in Harrisburg. He really let her have it about the Obama phone call. Y'all listen to this.
Him at his best.
Did you see when President Obama and Michelle called? Did you see? Hello? Hello? Yes. Yes. Who is this? Oh, this is Michelle and Barack. Oh. So surprised to hear. They got 4 cameras in front. Oh, I'm so surprised it's on speakerphone. Listen, we just want to congratulate you on destroying Joe Biden. I mean, on winning the... Hey, is Joe Biden going to... Was that the phoniest phone call you've ever seen? How do you think, Dan? What do you think? Dan Muser, great congressman. What do you think? Was that a phony phone call? You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't get away. In your district, you wouldn't get away with it, would you?
You know, President Trump, he's funny, you know, and he tells the truth and he makes comedy out of it because it was funny. And we all talked about that phony phone call.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows how phony it was. And that just goes to show you how phony Kamala Harris's campaign is. It's all phony. The thing we talked about yesterday about her being in some, you know, at some concert with some phony, you know, do people really listen to this kind of stuff? I mean,
yes.
If you do,
yes,
you know, are you as phony as them? I don't understand it. You know, people have their own culture and their own music, and I get that. But to use that to bring Kamala Harris out to act like, you know, those people are there to see her, and that was not the case.
Right, exactly.
Not at all.
Exactly.
But before we close for the day, because we could talk about that forever, and we are in a time crunch. Before we close for the day, we would be remiss if we didn't tell you about the breaking news that happened yesterday. 23 years ago, America changed forever, and the people that did it just got a plea deal.
Yep.
We have a New York Post article here.
And this is what it says, that the 9/11 mastermind, Khalid Muhammad, and 2 other terrorists awaiting trial at Guantanamo Bay strike a plea deal. The alleged mastermind of the September 11th terror attacks and 2 other terrorists being held in Guantanamo Bay will be spared the death penalty under a deal with prosecutors, it was revealed Wednesday. This is a bitter pill to swallow for victims, families who have anxiously awaited the conclusion of this case for nearly 24 years, many of whom felt death was the only appropriate punishment for the perpetrators of this act. A spokesman for the Office of Military Commissions, which is prosecuting the case, confirmed it had entered into a pretrial agreement with Khalid Muhammad, the accused principal architect of the al-Qaeda attacks, and 2 alleged co-conspirators, Walid Mubarak bin Atash and Mustafa Hassawi, all of whom have been held at Guantanamo on the coast of Cuba since 2003.
In exchange for removal of the death penalty as possible punishment, these 3 accused have agreed to plead guilty to all of the charged offenses, including the murder of the 2,976 people listed in the charge sheet, said a letter signed by Rear Admiral Aaron C. Rugg, chief prosecutor for the OMC, and sent to victims' families on Wednesday. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That day will always remain a huge day in my mind.
With all certainty, America was changed on that day. Daniel de Alara, whose twin brother John was one of the 23 New York Police Department cops killed the day of those attacks, told the Post, "I'm very disappointed. We've waited patiently for a long time. I wanted the death penalty. The government has failed us."
Absolutely. And the government failed them years ago by not doing something about these people before now. I mean, 23 years. It's been political the whole time. They've used this as a political weapon against people. They've kept these people in here and like poked them and poked these people's the people that died's family. It's absolutely heartbreaking to me. It's almost hard to talk about. That's how much it still affects America.
And we talk about the change that happened. If you look back and you see the change that happened, this opened the door for the Patriot Act. This opened the door for the Department of Homeland Security, and it done all these things. The government took advantage of this situation, and then instead of offering justice to those almost 3,000 families that lost lives, this is what you get.
They got punched in the gut. That's what they got.
Is this thing working?
Rise up.
Well, hey, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned some things about what's going on around us in the nation and in your communities. You know, we couldn't do this without your continued support either. We appreciate all of you showing up, taking the time to listen to us today. So please, like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share our show with all your friends. We'll see you next time on Is This Thing Working? And as always, I'm James, and that's my lovely co-host over there,
Denise,
and we'll see you next time.
we're out.